Such a good girl. You know, you want to deal with title and rights in this country, you're going to meet with the RCMP, not with a politician. And I met with a lot of RCMPs, even just at this gate, over our title and rights. Go check it out. Go check it out.
It's not even your land. You guys don't even have a deed to your land. Not even your land. We're fighting for missing and murdered Indigenous women that are dying, that are dead, the thousands of them.
Okay, guys, move them out.
No.
Move them out.
Let's go. Take them. Take them hard. Take them hard. Take him. Take him. Take him. Take him. Okay, retreat, boys. Retreat.
They physically attacked us. Yeah, we got it all on video. You guys physically attacked us.
RCMP on site at 10:47.
Get in there and help them, boys. Where are you running to now, big soldier? Hey, where are you running to now?
My manual could be going to jail, possibly for a year.
These are child-smoking workers doing what?
She's awaiting sentencing stemming from this altercation.
All these guys are stealing resources from the fucking land.
September 15th, 2021.
When we fight for our land, we always know that there's a risk of violence.
I've been reporting for more than 2 decades. In that time, Indigenous people standing up for their rights have continually faced the full weight of the state's power.
Don't point your gun at me! Take your gun off of me!
From frontline clashes with specialized RCMP units to being spied on by Canada's intelligence agency, and more recently, clashes with private security staffed by ex-cops and ex-military.
We're always fighting against the biggest beasts, and we don't always win.
This is a story of opposing ideologies, opposing laws, the root cause of the strife between Canada and Indigenous people. The question that may never be reconciled: who owns the land? It's also the story of 2 sisters, Kanahus and Mayuk Manuel, identical twins from Niskonalith, part of the Secwepemc Nation, located in British Columbia's interior. I meet Kanahus Manuel at the Vancouver airport. I'll explain why in a bit. But first, I head into the mountains, driving to Blue River, a tiny town 2.5 hours outside of Kamloops.
Morning, how you doing?
Mayuk, along with her partner Aisha Jules, have returned to what's called the Tiny House Warriors encampment, set up right beside what was the TMX pipeline workers camp. The camp's empty now, the workers gone. They recall its construction.
There was no selective logging. The whole forest floor had wild blueberries, and those are Secwepemc women's medicine.
They did not go cheap on this at all. They got it done fast, and they hired the people to do it.
It really chokes me up because I'm a berry picker. And you know, my dad, one of the reasons he married my mom was because she came from a really traditional family. And she berry picked and she raised us that way.
Aisha Jules is a U.S. Army vet, a sergeant. He spent a year deployed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia during the last Iraq War. He's also a muralist and airbrush artist. His work can be seen all around the camp. Sentencing is also hanging over his head. He's convicted of assault causing harm for this. That's him squaring up to 3 security guards.
What she shares constantly with me is she's just being native. They're just being native. They're born with their DNA to act this way. And it's wrong what's going on. So that's what upsets me the most is stuff needs to change.
I first crossed paths with Mayuk back in 2005, the day she was released from the Alouette Correctional Center for Women. She served 30 days for mischief for her role in a 2001 blockade aimed at stopping a ski resort from expanding into her people's territory.
Canada is embarking on violating the human rights of Indigenous people in this country.
You ask why we're mad?
Between 2001 and 2004, 54 land defenders were convicted of mischief and intimidation.
We're going to continue to fight until we win, until we get our voices heard. Cooks jam.
Under arrest! Under arrest! Get out of here!
20 years later, Mayuk found herself once again front and center in conflict, this time with camp security. Mayuk can be seen holding a pole with a red dress tied at the end. She's pinned but gets away. The confrontation went on for 3 hours.
And the security were like, they remind me of the Westerns, like the renegade guys of the Westerns, like no rules and all just masculine and testosterone, and there's no getting through to them.
They've had enough of this shit. There's gonna be some problems here, boys. You better take your bros and leave. I think the locals have had enough of you guys. Hanson Dennis is going to jail. She's going to jail. Yeah. There could be some good ass kicking, but there's going to be a bunch of people getting arrested today. It's time to start choking people out.
That's Stuart Morse, audio from his body cam. He's TMX security, a former RCMP member with 20 years experience. During the trial, defense asked Morse if that was professional behavior. He answered, "I don't see anything wrong with it."
Time to run like you usually do. Run, run, run. Run, run, run.
At trial, Mayuk learned Foresight Security had contract workers on site. Foresight does hire ex-military and ex-police.
These guys are no joke. These private security, these are no joke.
We reached out to Foresight for comment and received this reply. With regards to any past, future, or potential litigation, we offer no comment. We have not heard back from TMX as of our deadline. I met with Kanahus Manuel after a 20-hour flight back from Ghana. Kanahus' grandfather was George Manuel, founder and president of the World Council of Indigenous Peoples.
When you find 90% of our Indian people in Canada who are in welfare, people who are starving in a very rich country in Canada, to me is a form of subtle genocide.
One of George Manuel's friends was Black Panther Fred Hampton, who was assassinated by Chicago police in 1969. Through this connection, Fred Hampton Jr. and Kanahus became friends. Now she's been adopted into the family.
Like, I really have a lot of family that are a part of this movement, and they're African, and it's the same fight. And so that's what I'm doing over in Ghana. I'm building a movement with the people there.
We drive out to Tsleil-Waututh territory. It's here where she is reunited with her family. Her daughter accompanies her down to the shoreline. Across the water is Kinder Morgan, the terminus of the TMX pipeline.
One time I came over here with Reuben George's mom, and we went out on the Chief Dan George canoe, and we went out there, but she stood up in that canoe, and she had lifted that water up
And as soon as she lifted that jar of water up, all those cops came over. And they're all looking at her and stuff, and she said a prayer.
The battle to stop this pipeline waged for years. Protests, court challenges, appeals to the UN, and in the end, the oil flows.
Well, people will say, hey, you lost another battle, they're still there. But no, we're still living on our land, we're still practicing our culture and our way of life, and we don't come from a defeated type of family. We're not that bent over Indian. We're the one that'll stand up and face off with the government no matter how hard it will be and how big these corporations are. We're going to continue to fight back. And even some of the conditions when we were first getting arrested at the Trans Mountain fight was not to wear masks, where I actually had to have a lawyer go and lift that mask guideline so I could wear a mask during COVID, you know, around elders and stuff.
We don't want the Olympics to take place here. And the Mother Earth.
Kanus played a big role in the anti-Olympic movement leading up to the 2010 Games in Vancouver.
No Olympics in stolen native land!
She was also there on the ground during the Mount Polly disaster. During our drive, she recalls anecdotes dealing with Canadian justice.
Like, I've got tailgated with my kids in the vehicle. I'm just used to it. I'm just used to the freaking harassment.
Did you ever take pictures or video of that happening?
Yeah, we did. We went outside and it was like we were in Palestine or something, war zone. Yeah. Everything rubble.
And to that, she suffered a broken wrist. In 2019, she was living in a tiny house. An altercation with the road crew led to her arrest.
When they came out of the car and he started putting his leather gloves on and start walking over to me like a sumo wrestler, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Why is he? I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you're under arrest. So it's like, for what? He said, for bugging the road crew. And I was bugging them, and then boom, like, just grabbed me.
Corporal Todd Bowen cuffed her and they both fell to the ground. The officer landed on Kanahus. She's suing. The case has not yet made it to court. Her lawsuit claims she was refused medical attention for hours.
The RCMP have been there to violate our rights, you know, and keep us down. And the RCMP forming all these different divisions and units is nothing new. I mean, they formed that one unit to go after the West Coast Warrior Society back in the day.
They took us at gunpoint, they handcuffed us, and they threw us in the paddy wagon.
The West Coast Warriors was a political movement in the early 2000s. In 2005, the movement ended after police confiscated 14 hunting rifles in a dramatic takedown on a Vancouver bridge.
Definitely a show of force. We've seen ERT members with submachine guns, assault rifles.
RCMP's Integrated National Security Enforcement Team, or INSET, as they were called. This unit was responsible for investigations under Canada's Anti-Terrorist Act. Now, the Tiny House Warriors have come up against SERG officers.
Did you get any sense that the SERG or any of the RCMP were here to keep the peace?
No. There was always the threat of violence anytime they're around. And a lot of times they didn't come dressed like the regular RCMP officers or DLT. They were coming with all the tactical gear and all that.
Community Industry Response Group, or SERG, was created in 2017. A special unit created to police civil disobedience against pipelines in British Columbia. It's a controversial unit to say the least. APTN has reported SERG used pain compliance techniques. From Fairy Creek to Wet'suwet'en territory, protesters alleged intimidation, torture, and racism. After receiving nearly 500 complaints, the Civilian Review and Complaints Commission announced a systemic investigation into SERG. Last year, SERG was renamed the Critical Response Unit British Columbia, or CRUBC. When told by APTN that we were doing a story on SERG, the RCMP responded with this: public trust is essential for the RCMP to effectively fulfill its mandate. Maintaining public confidence and impartiality is paramount to the RCMP's role in providing policing services. And if that's not enough, we have Canada's spy agency in the game.
It's very troubling that the Canadian government is treating its citizens, ones that are politically active, that are dissenting, treating them as if they are criminals. Dissent is necessary for a functioning democracy.
In 2013, a Vancouver Observer investigation found CSIS spied on Canadians. The BC Civil Liberties took the agency to court in 2014 to find out how deep their investigations went.
They're supposed to be doing things like looking for terrorists. And the fact that they are using their resources to surveil protesters and share that information with other government bodies and private sector actors, it just shows that they're buying into that rhetoric, that they're seeing protesters, land defenders as threats.
We always have been a peaceful nation.
During the National Energy Board hearings regarding the proposed Enbridge pipeline, environmental and Indigenous groups are being spied on, and that information was being shared with the NEB and industry. For a decade now, the courts have blocked civil liberties' attempts to make all of CSIS secrets public. It's so deep state that hearings have been held in secret. And you have to wonder, are they still spying?
I would say there's no reason to think that they would have changed anything.
And because of that belief.
Chief Stuart Phillip of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs says there's no privacy for Indigenous activists. It's just a fact of life.
I don't think there's any question that UBCIC has been under surveillance pretty much back to our inception in 1969.
Get your fucking trucks and get the fuck out of here.
Now!
Get the
You
fuck
get
out
your
of
fucking
here.
out of here. Now this dude over here, he gets out of here. You all fucking leave.
No fucking consent, no fucking consent, no fucking consent, no fucking consent. No fucking consent.
Mayuk admits it was the youth that started it, damaging the solar panels powering a bank of surveillance cameras.
Didn't have to lead to violence. Security are supposed to phone the RCMP. We knew that was going to be mischief charges.
Mayuk saw the security cameras as a source of provocation. It was when the youth was thrown to the ground in what appeared to be a chokehold that the rest of the camp rushed in.
But we fought to defend ourselves and defend youth that were being choked out and pushed around. And we believe that we upheld our law and our end. We believe we didn't break any Secaucus laws.
But a Canadian court didn't buy that defense. On May 30th, 2024, Provincial Court Judge Loriana Bennett found the 4 defendants guilty on all counts. Jules had 2 assault charges against him. Mayuk had resisting and a breach. For Chief Stuart Phillip of the Union of BC Indian Chiefs, this is an example of cultural bias.
We're not the aggressor here. We're not invading Alberta, putting in a lot of industrial development or things like that. It's our actions have always been defensive. Our actions have always been related to our own laws.
Critics have always believed the state is looking after corporate interests over the interests of its own citizens.
That's exactly what it is. And we've seen it there's many examples of the RCMP especially. They have a special unit, the Kurd unit they call it, that it seems their role is essentially to be private security for resource extraction companies.
Mayuk believes she's seen that firsthand.
No one's here to go between these settler people up here and us. And whenever the police get involved, this charge is on us.
She's talking taunts and threats from locals. She recalls a time 3 men came into camp, stole an idling pickup, raced it through camp and crashed it.
And took it down this straight stretch and gunned it all the way back. Hit the Elk House straight on with that 350.
That's good, good, good. Feels better too because the weight's in the back. Okay, let's work together.
The tiny house encampment has turned into a land-back decolonization movement.
So what's awesome is you're in a big river right now, Nathan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, this is just a big river where nothing but water. And once I realized that, when my first year I was here, I realized, man, you're right here, all connected.
This one's called the Salmon House.
But you still may be wondering, what's with the tiny house name? Well, it's because of the tiny houses.
Yeah, tiny house warriors and offering frontline warriors a place to stay. Our thought was we put these tiny houses on wheels. If they go in and announce injunction to us, then we could just roll off to another location. We were concerned about our women going missing because of these man camps.
This kind of frontline activism is a family affair. Chief Philip has much respect for the Manuel clan and remembers George fondly.
Oh, that was the hamburgers? Oh, yeah, that's good.
He was very visionary and very powerful leader, powerful speaker.
Go down to Mapuche territory in Chile, you go to South Africa or Johannesburg in South Africa, you go around the world in Finland at the Sami people, you're still going to hear George Manuel's name.
George's son Art carried on the tradition. He was a chief, activist, leading the way in Sun Peak's protest, and an author and a scholar.
It was the conversations we had at the dinner table. We didn't talk about movies or sports. My dad gave big Native political sermons at the dinner table.
And Art Manuel's girls, absolutely amazing, absolutely fearless.
But 25 years have taken its toll.
You know, that's something that just really still chokes me up, is just thinking about those young youth running to save me, and there was all these men there. You know, and that they might possibly go to jail.
My father would always say, like, we can't wait for them to give us our land back. We'll be waiting forever. We have to go and assert our rights and take our land back. And so that's where we're at right now. You know, with Tiny House Warriors, we've been there for 7 years, and we're going to continue to remain there.